Hey everyone, Matt Pisarcik from RazorEmporium.com. Today, to do a double shootout, we're going to be looking at our new line, St. James of London, for our shaving soap, and we're going to be shooting out the new Vikings Blade razor against another popular adjustable razor, the Parker variant. Let's get started. All right, we are all lathered up with today's soap that we're reviewing. This is the St. James of London Cedarwood and Clary Sage. And we just got these into the Emporium. Really happy to be carrying them. Beautiful packaging, nice lather. Underneath it I put a little bit of my Parasso pre-shave, as I always do, my go-to. And we're gonna do a review, a showdown, so to speak, of a new razor brand that's on the market that a lot of people have been talking about, and I had to buy one for myself. They did not send this to me for review, so I bought it with my own money, and I wanted to check it out. So this is the Vikings Blade, and the model is called the Emperor, and this is the Augustus edition, and that denotes the finish on it, which has this really interesting kind of tobacco brown and gold, kind of a dual tone look. It's a butterfly razor, and it's an adjustable razor, so it's pretty cool. So we're going to be shooting that out, and I thought for a basis of comparison for another adjustable that I'm really familiar with, we'll grab the Parker variant, which itself is a variant of the Mercure Progress, both of which I've used a lot. So normally my standard protocol was to just hold one variable as a testing variable and hold all other variables constant. Well, today I'm going to kind of mix it up. Usually I'd be using my Taylor of Old Bond Street Sandalwood, but I've happened to have used the St. James of London several times. I was given a sample a while back from the manufacturer at a big shave event, and I've used it for travel many different times, so I feel that it's not a complete double showdown, but I'll call it the double showdown. Okay, that being said, I have loaded up my blade, so it's a TTO adjustable. So I put a Paul Silver blade in, which is, again, my other go-to, and we're going to dial it down. I'm going to start in the lower settings. I'm just going to start at like setting 1 or maybe 2 and see if that cuts any hair. Oh yeah. Sometimes you get a adjustable razor and the lower settings, you never quite know what you're getting into. Sometimes the lower settings are harsh themselves. You're like, oh gosh, that feels like it's, 5 or 6 or whatever, higher up on the adjustment range as its first setting. It's almost like it starts off in 3rd gear and you're a little surprised. This one starts off nice. Reminds me of a slim adjustable. I'm also going to load up another Paul Silver blade into my Parker variant. And don't forget, little tip on both this and the Progress, there's a little hash mark and little triangle here on the side profile. Those two marks need to be in orientation together. The hash mark and the triangle. That means that this side of the cap belongs on this side. If you flip that cap 180 degrees, your numbers down here that correspond with the adjustment level won't be in sync. So if I did it right, my very first setting number 1 will show up. If I didn't do it right, you may be starting halfway through the band. All right, just for a comparison. So both on some of the lowest settings here, and I gotta be honest, I think I'm liking the feel of this guy a little bit better. Now the other major difference, look at the head geometry. One has a much flatter head, and one has a much more rounded, bulbous, rounded, curved head. And I personally like razors that have more of a flat head. On our own Rex Ambassador, that was a kind of a big thing. I wanted a low profile head. So I dialed it up to number 3. And I always tell anyone who's tackling an adjustable razor, they always ask me, what setting should I start at? 6, 3, 5? And I've said, start on 1. Work your way up. There's no pride, and I'm a 9 man. I start on 9. Like, no, just start at the beginning and work your way up. So now I'm going to go. Now, the first thing I'm noticing, and again, I am new to this razor. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Okay, I just took the tension off the blade and then reseated it. But before I did that, I was able, see, I can move this band. This has no resistance on it whatsoever. Now, it looks like it's not actually moving it when this is happening, but it's certainly something to consider. I have to take the pressure off, then put it back on. Now it's locked in place. But if you guys saw that, that's a little bit worrisome that it can kind of float like that. I know that customers don't like that kind of thing. When we first released our Ambassador adjustable razor, we had a spring on it that was just probably a little bit too weak. And I thought it was okay, but we had a lot of customers say it was too weak and it wasn't holding the dial in place, and so we changed that. And never heard that complaint again. I'm all the way up at 4 now. And my other, these are honest reviews. We don't sell the Viking line, so I don't have to pander to them and artificially butter them up. I'm going to tell you how it is, which is one reason I think people watch this channel, is I'm just honest. Another thing I'm noticing is that the blade looks, at least on my model, just looks a little bit cockeyed. It's not perfectly, it kind of has like a bow to it like this. I'm not sure if you can see that on the camera. Are you picking that up? Yeah. Looks a little bit bow, doesn't look really straight. And then the actual little indicator of where you are is almost the exact same color as this band. So I got young eyes, and I'm having a little bit of an issue seeing what number I'm at. So just another point of feedback. I'm actually quite enjoying the shave. Now I'm up at 5, and this is feeling really good. This is more like where I like a razor. And for reference, on a slim or fat boy, I like it around 3, 4, 5. So I like it around 5 on this. Go back over here. Let's up this ante. Let's get it up to 3 or 4 on here. Yeah, see, that just feels like it's pulling and tugging a little bit more. Again, brand new Paul Silver blades in both. Ugh. Blade angle is really, really specific on this one. I'm kind of finding I have to ride the cap a little bit more and kind of angle it a little more than I'm used to. I'll give this one the benefit that I really am finding it to be a very natural, easy angle. It's gliding right through my stubble. And for reference, I have about 2.5, almost 3 days worth of stubble. Yeah. So not a little bit amount of stubble to get through. Okay. Always practicing some skin stretching. Let me refresh my lather, my lower neck. Yeah, in fact, I'm gonna get a little more product. I sit here on the camera and talk to you guys and kind of take my sweet time. And sometimes my lather dries up, or I bump it, or I wipe it off. A little more water. There we go. And for me, my lower neck is definitely a challenging area to not get razor irritation. In fact, I'm going to dial it down just a hair. Another benefit of the adjustable, I'm going to go down to like 4, maybe 3. Yeah, and I'm finding that every time I'm moving it, I have to open up the doors and then re-clamp it down. Now I know there's been a lot of controversy about the Gillette razors with doing that. The Gillette razors work either way. You don't have to do that. But I always tell people that if you're having if it's an old razor and maybe it hasn't been cleaned in a long time and you're seeing it's not adjusting, I always say, well, try loosening it, then adjust it. This one's brand new. It shouldn't have any soap scum or anything preventing that. So I wonder if that's by design or if that's just a fault on mine. If you've used this or know or heard about this, tell me in the comments, guys. I will say I'm not wanting to go back to the progress. Maybe I'll dial it down. Maybe that's too high. I'm only at 2.5. Let's. And it's not that it's bad. It's just, I guess I'm feeling the blade a lot more. Some people like that. I like it to be kind of like a laser. I want it to be like a laser beam, just kind of roasting my hair off. You can hear the audible feedback too. It's a lot more noticeable that versus over here. I mean, you can hear the difference. Now this brand has many other models. This was just one model, and the construction's quite solid. I'm impressed by the construction. It looks like there's some brass parts on here. I'm sure that the center bar is probably cast. Just by looking at it, I can tell. Oh no, maybe it's not. Maybe it's folded. If it's folded, I'm really impressed. There is a seam right down the middle like a Gillette would have. That's quite impressive. If they have a folded sheet metal center bar, that's a la Gillette. That's impressive machining. You talk to anyone that does stamping work, sheet metal work, to get a perfect fold of a part that needs to be a mirror image to fold down and not kind of skew one way or the other is really impressive. Now it is made overseas. I believe this is made in China. I'm 99% sure on that. Yeah. Yep. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I mean, China makes some great stuff. But if that's a deterrent for you, you should know. I mean, the fact of the matter is, getting a razor like this with this many parts, this complexity, this finish, this packaging for $60 US dollars is impossible to make it in the USA for that price. And I know what everyone's going to say. Well, Gillette used to do it. Well, yeah, they did. But they also were making literally hundreds of thousands at a time because every man in the country and most men in the world use double edge. Whereas today, the market's just not there. You can't have a company do 100,000 razors or several 100,000 razors. It's just not economically viable. So, maybe tens of thousands, sure, or 5,000 at a time, 10,000, sure, but not 500,000 at a time. So that means that places like China, India, I mean the Parkers are made in India. I'm sure soon Korea, Vietnam, I'm sure will be making razors soon. Who knows? But there's a lot of great machining in China. And one little part. So I kept on reaching for the Viking. I barely touched the Parker, so in this showdown, I'm gonna have to award it to the Viking. I really did like the performance. Now the mechanics, I'm a little bit shaky on. I think it looks like it's built well, but I'm not sure why. Two things: why the blade looked a little bit bowed, and I have never touched this. I got it. It's been sitting in the box waiting for today's review. Could just be a one-off thing. Maybe not every razor has that issue. And then this issue with the dial just kind of freely being able to move, you know, it really moves quite easily. And if I open it and then cinch it back down, then it's like locked in. But otherwise, it just kind of like drops. And Gillette, oh, look at that. This whole bottom looks like it's unfinished. That's weird. Gillette countered that issue by having a spring in the bottom that constantly put pressure. And maybe they didn't do that. I don't know. I haven't opened it up and looked at it. But that's my only area of concern. The St. James performed wonderfully. Very happy with that. Let's put on a little bit of the, try my hands, put on a little bit of the aftershave gel, as they call it. Now, St. James, we did another video that'll be out about more in depth about the product, but they are from the 50s, from London, and their big kind of shtick is that they are all natural ingredients, you know, no parabens, phosphates, sulfates, whatever. It's really good for your skin, no alcohol, and it does smell really good. This, of all the scents, I think I like this one the most, this clary sage and cedarwood. The gel feels really nice. I'm kind of just massaging it into my beard. Really nice. Yeah, it performed well. So that is my review. If you've used St. James of London and you love it, or you don't love it, tell me below why. If you've used one of the Viking razors, or this specifically, this Augustus Emperor model, and you have the same issue or a different issue, tell me. Again, I think it's interesting that there's a affordable adjustable razor in the market, and I want to know if you guys have had any experience with those. Parker, it wasn't bad. I wasn't trying to dig on it, but I'm just someone who likes more flat heads versus these big rounded ones. It performed well, but in the shootout, I definitely did like the Viking better. So again, I want to keep it honest. We sell the Parker variant. You know, so I definitely want to be more transparent and honest and tell you guys my feelings, not just, you know, oh, everything's great. I love it all. Everyone gets an A++++. No, I like to be honest, guys. So that's all I got for today. If you do leave a comment about anything we talked about today or something unrelated, you'll be entered in to win this, the Razor Emporium black and blue t-shirt. So we thank you so much for watching our channel. Subscribe, hit the bell to notify you when we put out more videos, like the video, share it with all your friends, and we'll see you here at Razor Emporium next time for all things wet shaving. See you guys. Thank you.